why is it at a mechanistic level that if you miss a night or two of sleep, that your immune system seems so less effective in fighting off infections? Do we know what's happening? Is it like you've got so much adenosine, which is the sleepy molecule, and like that adenosine inhibits T cell function or something? Do we actually know? Because I think all of us are familiar with the fact that if we don't sleep well or enough for a couple of nights, we're much more susceptible to getting sick.
Yeah.
Is there a mechanistic understanding of why that's so?
I think there are bits and pieces of it. I think some really nice work shows that at night, a few wacky things, when you sleep, a few what you might have thought would be wacky things happen. And one of them is that a lot of your immune cells clear back to the bone marrow. And your tissues become populated with a bunch of neutrophils that come out of the bone marrow and seem to be, depositing collagen around your body. And so there's a lot of things that I think are reparative about sleep. I've thought about this a lot in my own life, as probably you have with sleep. As to one of the questions, of course, is why do we bother to have sleep? And I guess I can only imagine it's because we've created these bodies of ours are so capable and they're so energetically and consumptive, and they make all these byproducts during the day that at some point you just need a cleanup phase, and that's one interpretation of sleep. You just need to reset. So the immune system is definitely resetting, and there's, as I say, there's evidence that a lot of the cells go kind of quiescent into the tissues, and they may leave you alone for those reparative processes and actually allow those. In terms of the data on there's a lot of studies that are being done, and I can't say that I've come to a conclusion about that. This comes in the question of like, is it known, or do I not know it, or does nobody know it? And I'd say might be one of these areas where about 10 factions of people know it, but they don't agree. So there's variations on things. But I think the data, for example, that immune cells dive into the bone marrow at night is pretty solid.
That makes sense.
What they're doing and why that's important in the long sense of like what you're talking about, everything from, but I think it's, the things that happen overnight, you're definitely, your cognition improves. Is that immune or is that neuronal or both? I think it's both.
Something in the lymph plumbing, immune system. One thing that's just striking like that is undeniable, is probably the best way to put it, is everybody has bags under their eyes and looks like shit when they are sleep deprived. They sleep for a night or two and it goes away. That's clearly accumulation of lymph. We actually know that. That's just lymph fluid that's not being cleared. And it might not even be the brain's lymphatic clearance system. Right. It's just, there's a bunch of lymph pooling under your eyes. That's why you look like shit.
Yeah.
And then you sleep for 2 nights, and then you look better again. And the eyes get glassy. We know that the eyes get glassy when we're sleep deprived. That's also a lymphatic clearance issue. This is well established. So there's some things that are just like plumbing works better when we sleep and get up again. There's something literally about lying down and getting up. But that to me can't explain the immune thing entirely, because like the lymphatic system is like, among other things, immune surveillance. But I mean, one night lousy sleep and the person coughing across the room gets you sick often. But when you're well rested, you actually feel this robustness, like, okay, I might wash my hands or just kind of avoid them and you're good.
Yeah.
So it's an incredible effect one way or the other.
Again, I don't know the degree to which we can nail down, which part of things that are happening is which. I always like the story that there's macrophages, immune cells in your eye that are basically clearing the lens. So there's all these like places where it's doing little cleanup that you can imagine that if the thing it's trying to get rid of is granularity, that you need to have sleep where you just aren't making more granularity so that it can, it's sort of like when you wash your car windshield, you do it completely at that point. But you can't be driving with flies hitting it, right? Or
exactly.
You'll never clear.
That's a great analogy.
So I think there's certain elements of some of these cleanup processes that happen best when you're not getting things, dirty. Or again, I think a lot of what we're talking about is byproducts of our energetics that leave, some damage behind it. I think we just use a lot of ATP and we do a lot of stuff as our bodies, and the sleep is this time where you can not be, producing more of that and get ahead of the curve on cleaning things up a bit, like pulling into a gas station, cleaning off your windshield.